What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another YouTube video. And here today we're recapping Notre Dame versus Ohio State. Notre Dame went to Ohio State, played a big time matchup Saturday night, and which was a really good football game. Ended up 21-10, and I'll kind of go over the stats and kind of how the game kind of went in my perspective. CJ Stroud went 24 for 34 passing, 223 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns. Really good game, really productive game. Not the most insane game from CJ Stroud, but managing the game and doing what he had to do and playing efficient. I feel like CJ Stroud did that Saturday night. Now, we do have some running back play that was really good for Ohio State. Trayvon Henderson had 15 carries, 91 yards, and 6.1 average. Really good football game. No touchdowns for him, but man, he was efficient. Both of these guys were. Mylan Williams, 14 carries, 84 yards, 1 touchdown, 6.0 average. He really got it going towards the end of the game in that fourth quarter. Really saw him go after that Notre Dame defense. Really good running back duo they have at Ohio State right there. They also have a star player, one of the best receivers in the country, probably the best receiver in the country, Jackson Smith-Njigba, but he got injured. He has a hamstring injury. He's out a few weeks, but he did not play a ton. He did not get a ton of reps in this game. So, a guy had to step up, and the guy who stepped up for Ohio State was Emeka Egbuka. 9 receptions, 90 yards, 10.0 per carry, so 10 yards a catch for him, and a touchdown. Emeka Egbuka is going to be really good for them. I mean, he's a really good second option. He's going to be a really good football player for them. But Notre Dame, their quarterback, Tyler Buchner, had a really good game. 10 for 16, 177 yards, 0 TDs, 0 interceptions. So, but I feel like he had, for his first start, I feel like he had a good game against looks to be a really good Ohio State defense. I don't know if Notre Dame's offense is the best in the world. Obviously, probably not. But, they looked okay. They had some big plays here and there. Really liked what I see from Ohio State's defense. I think Notre Dame's a better football team than what people may think because they hung in this one. Like the total yards, Notre Dame had 253. That's not too bad. Ohio State had 395, so they didn't even get 400 yards, which does speak to the volume of Notre Dame's defense, how good they are. So, really good stuff there on both sides of the ball. Really defensive type of game. The rushing yards for Ohio State, 172 yards to Notre Dame 76. They really just were more physical. And, the physical battle was back and forth through probably the first 3 quarters. But once that fourth quarter hit, I felt like Ohio State hit another gear. I feel like they had another gear to hit, especially with physicality. And you saw in the run game, you saw with the offensive line, they started pushing people. And one of the bigger concerns of this team is the offensive line, so that's a good sign. But, what Ohio State fans probably want is, consistency on that front. They want to do that consistently. They don't want to do it just in, this area of the game, that area. They want it consistently, so we'll have to see about that. But they looked good, man. Now, the thing with Ohio State is I know a lot of people are critiquing them with this game, saying they're not very good, which I disagree with because one of the bigger problems was defense last year, right? We talked about defense for Ohio State. They had a good defense. They'd be an incredible team, which is right. But this offense, they have the playmakers to be, just as good as last year's, easily. So when I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, I know they had a great defensive performance, and their offense wasn't, spectacular. They had their moments, and but they did what they needed to do offensively the entire game. I know that was the case, but you rather have that offense be a little behind than that defense, because that offense can kick in gear really quickly. So that's a really important note that I think people should look into. Now, I do think there is some concerns around certain things if they get hurt or banged up, which is inevitable in football. You know, you could be looking pretty scary at some positions, but I do like their team. You know, I think they have a lot to work with. You know, you have to replace Garrett Wilson and, you know, Chris Olave and all these guys on the receiving core. It's really hard to do. So they come in the first game, they don't look as sharp as you want it. It's not surprising, but, you know, you see the talent. They didn't have Julian Fleming, but they did have, you know, Emeka Buka and Jackson Smith-Njigba for like a quarter, I think. You know, their receiving core is a little banged up. You know, they do have Harrison out there who's pretty big, who's been there for a minute, actually. So, you know, the receiving core pretty, you know, was banged up today. They're missing a few guys. So when they're fully healthy, I think this team can be a really good football team, and I think they will be definitely in the national championship, you know, conversation. But, man, they may even have to hit another level after certain teams, how they played yesterday. So it'll be an interesting season for the Buckeyes and see how they develop. Their schedule isn't the hardest. You know, my projection, they probably go 12-0 still because, you know, the hardest game really is Michigan, I believe. You know, you never know, though. Any team could upset anyone any week. I mean, that's happened so many times. But, man, yeah, it's looking really good for the Buckeyes, I feel like. Because I don't think there's a situation where Ryan Day's offense doesn't keep up with that defense. I think it's just so impressive that their defense looked this good. Now, I want to see a bigger sample size. You know, did they come out and play for the big game? Could have. And, you know, that can hurt you. But, you know, if Bowles' defense is really this good, you know, that's a really good sign from Ryan Day and that whole staff that they can rely on that defense much more than they had previously. I mean, the best Ohio State defense that they've had since, you know, was a few years ago when they had Chase Young. So, you know, it's pretty crazy what's all going down. Really happy for the University of Ohio State and their fan base. I think they want the shot to win it. They feel like it is this year. I mean, C.J. Stroud gonna probably go to the NFL, be a top pick, and Jackson Smith-Njigba, same thing. They got some guys over there, so if they could put it all together, it'd be really good. Enough for the Buckeyes. Now let's talk about Notre Dame. Can Notre Dame see themselves going to the playoff? It'll be tough, but, you know, I think their schedule's not the easiest. They still have to play USC last game of the year, but I think they can easily beat them based off of physicality alone. But I like this Notre Dame team. I like where they're at. I think you have to be pleased and happy and excited for the Marcus Freeman hires. You know, I think it's really big that they were in this game, and they had a great game plan. Marcus Freeman, as a first-time head coach, came in with a great game plan versus Ohio State, which is kind of what Oregon tried to do last year with the physicality, doing this, doing that. It didn't work as well, but, you know, it kept you in the game. And, you know, Ohio State has to make sure, you know, every team's going to try to come at them like how Oregon did last year. That's just how it is. That's the game plan people are going to try to do. So that Ohio State kind of, you know, did, you know, hit him back in the mouth, I think is a really good sign for them program, because I don't think you can do that with them anymore. And that's really big, really big. But, yeah, Notre Dame, I like where they're at, man. I think they're building with their recruiting class, with how they played on Saturday. Very pleased and happy with that program. I think they're heading in a, you know, I think they have a bright future. You know, I think Marcus Freeman has that program having a really bright future, maybe even brighter than what Brian Kelly has had it, maybe since the Manti Te'o years. I mean, I think as a Notre Dame fan, you have to be excited for what you had there, because that guy drew up a really good game plan as his first-time head coach. He managed the game well. You know, he didn't get too out-coached. He didn't get, you know, anything crazy. That staff did well. You have to be happy at what happened at Notre Dame. I know you lost the game, but you got to be pleased that you hung in this one, because, you know, this team, these fans could have sat down and let Ohio State just run over them. That could have happened. They didn't let it happen. Gotta be extremely excited, man. I can't emphasize it enough. It's really cool that Notre Dame stayed in this game because it means a lot to the program. It means a lot to recruiting. That'll be it for me. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.